passes it around for Jenner. Now Poulin with speed, trying to get the puck. Here's Marie-Philippe Poulin. She shoots. Oh, she says she scored. They're saying no.
I'm Daniel McIver, and this is Queer Joy, celebrating the champions and changemakers of the 2024 PTP Pink Awards. Marie-Philippe Poulin, or MP, is arguably one of the greatest hockey players on earth. She was Canada's Athlete of the Year in 2022 and has won 4 Olympic medals and scored 3 golden goals, we'll get to that later, at 3 Olympics. MP was born in Beauceville, about an hour outside Quebec City, and is now a beloved Montrealer. And in 2024, she was named to the Knights of the National Order of Quebec. And in September of that year, she was part of the Professional Women's Hockey League Royal Wedding when she tied the knot with partner of 7 years and teammate Laura Stacey. And to finish off the year, a PTP Pink Award champion. And on top of everything else, as number 29 and captain of the Montreal PWHL team, she is filling arenas.
Seeing the rinks packed game after game. And obviously at the beginning, you're like, okay, maybe it's a honeymoon phase. Maybe people are just coming into like, okay, it's been a while, women's hockey's gonna happen. And the first couple of weeks, maybe it's gonna just die down. And to be honest, it was the total opposite. Game after game, people were showing up. And obviously we started with smaller rink, and now we needed to find bigger rinks because there was not enough seats for people to come in. And that was quite the problem. That was a great problem to be able to find bigger rinks. But it was game after game, months after months, and people showing up and having people coming to see us and really taking the time to just say thank you. Just having those little moments. It was now little girls, little boys, older ladies, older gentlemen coming and watching us and jumping behind us. Just was amazing. And obviously nowadays having little boys of a 13-year-old, 14-year-old being able to come up to us and say, hey, that's amazing, can I have your autograph? I think it says it all. And I think it says a lot that now the generation sees that, hey, women can play hockey. Women's sports is there. And I think you not only see it in hockey, but now you have the basketball, you have the soccer, and you have like other sports that are just growing. So obviously being part of that has been unbelievable.
Being part of that, MP says, as she would, being the true team player that she is. But the fact is that MP is very much at the center of this new excitement for the PWHL and women's hockey. She is a remarkable player. Her former coach, Danielle Sauvageau, says, trying to describe her is almost getting to a point where we should not. We should just say, it's Poulin. As the CBC says of her, she has made a career of stepping up in the biggest moments, which is referencing the 3 golden goals, a game-winning goal in a gold medal game, in 3 Olympics, 2010, 2014, and 2022. Here's what MP says when asked about the golden goals.
Well, golden goal. I mean, it's special to just be part of the Olympic team every time you play at one. Obviously, I've been lucky enough to play in 4 Olympic Games, so I'm pretty fortunate to be playing with amazing teammates. Obviously, I was lucky enough to be at the right place at the right moment and scoring those golden goals, but it's the teammate beside me that obviously makes these passes and allow me to do that. But it's hard to explain, but those are the moments I'll cherish forever. Yeah, you work so hard for those moments. You sacrifice a lot. You have family that sacrifices a lot. And I'll forever remember my first gold medal in Vancouver in 2010. I was lucky enough to have my family there, and that moment after that gold medal guy, and seeing them and just looking at that gold medal, all the 4 of us together, and just having our moment as a family, I think it was very amazing, and I'm quite fortunate to be able to share that with them.
The true humility of a team player. But of course, to be fair, this excitement for women's hockey didn't start with MP and her cohort. I feel like most of us Canadians older than 30 who had even a passing interest in the Olympics and had a TV in their home in 2002 watched the game, the women's gold medal game between Canada and the United States at the Salt Lake Olympics. Captain Cassie Campbell led Team Canada to an unforgettable victory. MP remembers it like this.
I was 11 years old and I was watching on my couch. I was sitting there with my mom watching. I was like, how the hell is Canada going to come back and being able to win? And they did. They won 3-2. And I just remember the iconic moment when they all jump on that ice and the excitement and the joy they had. I just remember looking back to my mom and she was crying. She had tears in her eyes. And I was like, why? They just won. Why is she crying? It should be a happy moment. But she looked at me and was like, one day you can be there. And that really sparked my dream. But now the girls, like, it's not every 4 years. And that's something that's been amazing. I didn't have that when I was a kid. I would watch the NHL and obviously, you know, that I would not be there one day. But now they can watch us. They can watch a women's professional hockey league happening on TV. They get to come and watch us. You see parents coming up and say, thank you for doing that for a little girl. So I think it just reminds you why we're doing it. And obviously, as you get older, yes, it gets more competitive. Yes, you get to tournament, you get to games where you do have to win. But I think when you put things in perspective, it all started with a game. It all started with the love of the game and the joy of it. And to this day, going to the ring, it's what brings me the most joy and the most happiness because I love what I'm doing. And so to me, I was lucky enough to watch a 2002 gold medal game where it really sparked that dream and it stuck with me until today.
And that is the effect of visibility. Seeing ourselves in spaces we long to be in, where we feel we belong, despite the optics that mainstream binary-centered gender role-enforced culture insists upon us, can change our lives. This is the kind of visibility that MP's choice of Changemaker brings to arenas and living rooms for athletes and fans alike. They are a generous and joyful organization called You Can Play.
You Can Play is a charity that allows you to be who you are. And yes, it took me a while to maybe find myself as well. And when you have the right people beside you and you surround yourself by those people, I think it's huge. And I think You Can Play can make a big difference. I'm very happy to be able to support a charity like this that makes more than the player that you are, but the person as well.
Not just the player, but the person as well. That's the work of You Can Play. Here's Mandy and David to talk about what they do.
I'm Mandy Cronin, Head of Corporate and Sport Partnerships with the You Can Play Project.
I'm David Palumbo, and I'm Chair of the Board of Directors of the You Can Play Project.
We work with athletic organizations from grassroots, youth level, all the way up to pro and national. We support the staff, mostly the referees, the adults that are creating that culture. Of course, we're there for the athletes as well. We do athlete training, but we feel like if we can educate and arm those people with the tools to create safe spaces for their fans, for the parents, for the referees, the officials, the coaches, that is going to have the trickle-down effect to the athletes. So our programs are meant to help those who are creating those cultures to make safer locker rooms, safer arenas for the fans, and make sure they have the tools.
Yeah, I would say it really comes down to education. We go to right on the ground and on the ice and on the pitch and in the locker room, and we educate those that are on the front lines, but also participants at every level. And so whether it's Pride Nights, whether it's participating with our Olympic partners in their training, whether it's corporate training, or whether it is front office and staff and coaching training, it's a whole ecosystem that we try to attack from different parts. And that is essentially the simplicity of the message. If you're a teammate, if you have a passion for the sport, if you're committed, nothing else matters, especially not your sexual orientation or gender expression or identity. So if you can play, you can play.
When we come back, Mandy and David are presented with You Can Play's Pink Award. As the sports fates would have it, MP had a game the night of the awards, so she couldn't be there. So we pulled a newbie in off the bench as a sub. After the break, you'll meet another beloved Montrealer who happens to be an iconic queer celeb and an unrealized hockey star. I'm Daniel McIver, and this is Queer Joy.
The 2024 PTP Pink Awards was made possible by the generous support of our sponsors, and we are deeply grateful for the generosity of our title sponsor, Decium, the Abnormal Beauty Company. Thanks to Sarah Frumstein and the entire Decium team.
Welcome back to Queer Joy. I'm Daniel McIver, And this is the evening of November 7th, 2024, the first annual Pink Awards at the Globe and Mail Center in Toronto, and one of our hosts, Shannon Burns.
Please welcome from all your favorite stuff like Schitt's Creek and Caitlin Cronenberg's Humane, it's Emily Hampshire.
Wow, I can't believe it because, well, I don't know if you can see, but they did even ask me for a picture of when I was younger. Yeah.
At this point, we projected an adorable picture of little Emily in a hockey helmet on an ice rink.
Me. But now I see that this award is not for me. It's for the greatest hockey player on earth, right? So, but I'm standing in for MP because I was such an inspiration to her.
You're standing in because you're from Montreal.
Ah, je me souviens. Okay, but I just want to say something, and this is not my acceptance speech that I already prepared. This is different. So that is really me when I was a girl. And like MP, I wanted to play hockey really badly. But at that time, girls weren't allowed to play hockey because girls. And so my mom put my braids up in my helmet, and I would go to the rink with my helmet on. And that was amazing until I got found out. And then I had to play ringette. And not that there's anything wrong with ringette if you want to play ringette, but I wanted to play hockey. And so it's because of the work that you can play that girls don't have to hide their braids in helmets anymore. And they can play ringette if they want to, but they can also play hockey. Because if you can play, you can play. So please join me in welcoming Mandy and David to the stage to receive their Pink Award.
If you can play, you can play. That's very effective messaging. But I guess for someone like me, who never really felt welcomed in sporting spaces, there is a question around why play is important.
I think there's a huge developmental benefit from being involved in sports, especially at young age. And when we see people leaving sports at a young age because they don't feel like they belong there, all those developmental benefits with coming with learning to be a teammate, being a role model for others, being supportive and having others people's back, being a part of something collective, I think has a huge developmental benefit for everyone. And not participating in that, I think just sets you back.
And if you don't feel safe to participate in sports at any age, you're missing out on both mental and physical health benefits. And that is a big piece of the reason we do the work we do. We want that 10-year-old and that 42-year-old to feel safe. I just recently watched a video of one of my friends who's a member of the community, and he posted a video saying, I felt so scared as a teenage boy going into a gym or a locker room. I was scared of the boys. The banter and the words I was hearing made me not want to play even though I wanted to be on that team. He's just now at 42 years old feeling more comfortable because of programs like ours. I think that one of the biggest pieces, and just speaking from my own experience in sports, I developed my confidence. I developed my sense of team, being confident to work with others, both in a team setting and a work setting as an adult. That came from being a part of teams and sports. And if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't be the confident person I am today.
In talking with Mandy and David, you are witness to the wholesome humanitarian spirit so central to the ethos of the athlete, uncorrupted by sponsorships and fame. Like MP, they believe that sport is not only a human right, but a necessity for healthy development. And not just for the athlete. A big part of the work of You Can Play is directed toward fan culture.
We feel that educating fans and the allies in those stands, on the teams, that is what helps create the safe space for the fans to show up for their team. And by showing up as a fan, you want to get more involved in the game, you want to support, you want to join a league as an adult. So if those fans aren't supported and educated as well, whether they're a member of the community or an ally, we're not going to continue to have that growth in sports.
Yeah, I think, part of the fan experience for an ally is in a way showing up to something like a Pride Night, and you may not be part of the community, but that's important to the community. And it's a historically absent group from sports venues. And so having allies in those situations where they can stand up and speak out about certain situations that are happening or the use of language. And people are becoming more and more comfortable with being an ally, because I think everyone can agree that who's playing on that field or on that rink, there's likely people within the community. And so they need to know that they're supported, and our future stars and our future participants in the game need to know that there's just that logical progression that won't be impeded.
And what about someone like me, not necessarily like Mandy's friend who later in life started playing sports, but maybe someone who has never felt comfortable going to maybe beyond a pride night, like to a normal or whatever game at the Rogers Center or whatever they call it now?
Yeah, and that's the perfect example in terms of being able to just do what you do. You're a fan at if you want to go see the Blue Jays at the Rogers Center, if you want to go see the Leafs at the Scotiabank Arena, it shouldn't be only on a pride night. It's going as a fan to support your team and being completely comfortable in the knowledge that when you get up and cheer, regardless of who you are, no one's going to tell you to sit down. It is really that normal, quote, game that people should feel free to go to, because that's where we really get the allies involved. And it's not a pride night. And so the training that we do, when it comes to coaching training, when it comes to the players, when it comes to organizations, it's Pride 365.
I think it's also helping allies understand that I think some people are afraid to speak up. They don't feel comfortable or educated on what they should say. A lot of times they won't. So that's a big goal of ours, is to make sure allies feel educated. And we have resources for every type of scenario to help them feel more comfortable to speak up and be that strong ally for the community.
Right.
When you look at it, one thing that can sum up the You Can Play project is we are really all about allies. No moment of social change will occur in any sphere of the world we live in without allies. And allyship in sports is a huge tool for social change. And while a lot of people are previously perhaps silent in their acceptance, they're starting to realize that they need to find their own voice and be vocal and visible, because that's what people need to see within the community. And that's what goes to creating that sense of belonging.
To be vocal and visible to create a sense of belonging. And for You Can Play, that's not just lip service to the idea of their cause, nor are they paying lip service to the idea of allyship they talk about as central to their organization. At the Pink Awards, we saw You Can Play's allyship as it worked inside our own community. Here are David's remarks after he and Mandy received You Can Play's Pink Award from the very charming Emily Hampshire, standing in for MP.
I have to say, first of all, Emily, what you and Schitt's Creek have done for the queer community, the visibility, I'm sure it's uniform thinking that we owe you a debt of gratitude, and you continue to deliver for our community, so thank you. It's really, truly an honor for us, for MP, to select us, the You Can Play project, given where MP has been over the years as one of the early champions of inclusion. I do want to talk about Skipping Stone as well. I think that community, above all else, is seriously under attack right now, and especially in Alberta, and I thank you for what you do on a daily basis. And I think we all have to really speak with our collective voice and get behind organizations like Skipping Stone. I think we have to do that from across the country, across North America. We will continue to fight anti-trans policies that keep trans people out of the sport that they want to play with no scientific background whatsoever. We are going to be relentlessly devoted to pursuing equality for all in sports. So I thank you for this honor.
David, taking the opportunity to shout out the work of Skipping Stone and voice support from one part of the community to another, pointed to a big part of the beauty of that night. We were seeing the intersection of the acronym at play. We were witnessing care, a centering of the most vulnerable members of our community. We were standing up in the face of pushback. We were generating joy. This is how champions are born. This is how change is made. Thanks to Amelia Moses in Montreal and Poulin in Toronto. Please join us for our next episode, Rufus Wainwright and PFLAG Canada, featuring A Moment for the Ages live performance from Rufus. Thanks to our presenting sponsor, Decium, the Abnormal Beauty Company, along with category award sponsor BMO and media sponsors iHeartRadio, The Globe and Mail, and Everything Podcasts, and to our publicists, Rocket Promotions. This has been Queer Joy. I'm Daniel McIver. Thanks for listening. Queer Joy is a production of Pink Triangle Press.